Good morning once again, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. My name is John Seeley. I'm not Robert Severance, and I'm your service associate for today. Our service leader this morning is Reverend Christine Robinson. Unitarian Universalism has no creed and no dogma. We are a covenant-based church, meaning that we agree to live in relationship with each other in accordance with the Unitarian Universalist principles and our congregation's covenant of right relations. We embrace diversity. Everyone is welcome here. You can learn more about our church and check the events calendar at our website, UUCLC.org. If you are visiting us today, we'd like to meet you. If you are in the sanctuary, please rise in body or spirit. Introduce yourself by telling us your name, where you're from, and how you heard about the church. Anybody here? Oh, good. Where's the mic? Anybody have a mic? There's a mic back here. Oh, there. Tell Lynette. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hi, I'm Jess Martin, and this is actually my second time here, but I haven't been in 6 months maybe. So I'm from New Mexico originally, went to school in California, and I'm now here working at NMSU. And I was really involved in my UU church in Palo Alto, so it's nice to be in community again.
I'm Cynthia Berkfold, and we just moved here a few months ago from Northwest Illinois, where it's probably about 33 degrees right now.
And I'm Bruce Berkfold. Very nice to meet you all.
I'm Candace Romig, and I moved here about a year ago from Colorado to be closer to my daughter. I used to be in the Unitarian Church in Lakewood, Colorado. So I looked you up to find out if there was a church here. So thank you.
It really warms my heart to see visitors, doesn't it? If you are joining us through Zoom, you can introduce yourself by turning on your mic and your camera. Do we have any visitors joining us on Zoom this morning? Okay. Well, thank you. We are pleased that you have joined us today for our service. Please fill out a visitor's card in the lobby or leave your email in the Zoom chat box so we can contact you and invite you to our services and activities. Directly following this service, there'll be a time for fellowship with one another during our coffee hour just outside the portico and down the walkway there. Those joining us via Zoom need only to stay where you are, and you will be able to converse with one another in the chat room after the service. Now, I didn't receive any announcements, but I have been coached by Kathy that there may be some.
I'm here to tell you, everything's coming up roses. Yeah. In 13 days, we will have our big fundraiser, the auction, from 5 to 9. As Charlie says, what is it? Starting time? No. What? Post time at 5 o'clock. There will be food. There will be fun. There will be music. There will be a silent auction and live auction. And there will be a taste of the auction today in the gallery after the service. Come and see what we have, just a small fraction of what we have to offer on May 7th. And what's that all about? It's the Kentucky Derby Day, of course. But for us, it's a time to get together and to make some money for our church. And you know what? You could invite a friend and bring them along. The more, the merrier. Thank you, John.
Thank you. One of the ways we express our joys, sorrows, and milestones is by lighting candles in the spirit of the service. Our theme today is letting go. As you come forward to light a candle this morning, you are invited to think of something that you would like to let go. Please come forward. May the candles we light today be a symbol of our resolve to let go of those things we cannot control, yet cherish those that we can.
In the movie Frozen, Elsa was a young woman with a terrible gift. She could control the ice of her country with her feelings. This gift was considered dangerous and shameful, and she had to hide it. She could control it to make pretty things, but she could also cause death and destruction. Her childhood, therefore, had been a childhood devoted to learning to control herself and hiding her real self. But one day, when she was newly queen, she had a spectacular public breakdown, and she ran away in shame to live in exile, leaving behind everything she had known and telling herself to just let it go. This song was a huge hit in the kid world when it first came out. It was one of those songs that parents had to bribe their children to quit singing. It irritated adults not only because of its catchy tune and repetitive nature, it also irritated us because it is a true song, which reminds us of something that is very hard to do. We all, I imagine, see the wisdom in Mary Oliver's poem, which tells us that our task in this world is to love the world and its people and its beauty and its things and our lives, and then let them go. And not just when they die or we face death, but like nearly every day, every week, every year. We know that this letting go is something we just have to do, especially when we've had difficulties or disappointments or setbacks in our lives. To get any perspective, to offer or receive any forgiveness, to find any reconciliation, to learn anything from our experiences, we have to be able to let go of past hurts and interpretations and problems and people. Most of us can't even begin to look at our part in whatever the problem was until we're willing to let go of our delusions of perfection. To be at peace in our lives, we have to let go of outgrown roles, loved ones who have left us, material possessions which are no longer ours, skills and strengths which we once had. Sometimes we have to let go of cherished habits, securities, and ways of being in the world. Do we like this? We do not. We humans tend to hang on to even the bad stuff in our lives in favor of letting things go for something new. But the hard truth of our lives is that nothing new is accomplished without letting go of something old. People who are still angry over their divorce are not ready to marry again, right? Their anger, their attachment to that first marriage is still too strong to make space for a new one. Students who are still invested, even positively, in their old school and the role they played in it can have difficulty succeeding in a new school. There's no space in their psyches for new people and new experiences unless they can let go. This is commonly understood when what is past has been negative in some way. You just have to let it go, we tell ourselves, and we tell our friends about anger or pain or anxiety. You just have to get on with your life, we tell the jilted teen or the discouraged parent or the fired worker. While they may mutter to themselves that it's easy for you to say, they will probably agree that this is exactly what they need to do. Which, by the way, is why it's usually better to just listen to folks as they're talking about their problems until they're ready to say themselves, I just need to get on with my life, and then applaud them heartily. What we often don't realize is that the good experience of our lives have to be let go of too. If you want to retire well, you have to let go of that wonderful job and the perks that came with it. In order to recover from surgery, you have to let go of an unscarred body image. To let your kids grow up, you have to let go of your role as the parent of an infant. The triumphant college student has to let go of some pride in order to learn the skills of working with people in that new job situation. The newlywed had better let go of some of their previous attachments in order to make a life together now. Yes, love is wonderful, and we're happy for them. And we also know that he is going to have to give up some control over finances. She's going to have to let go of her erratic dinner habits, and that they will both let some of their friends slip away. It's good practice for parenthood when they will also give up full nights of sleep and all kinds of spontaneity. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Is it easy? No. Mary Oliver's wisdom shines through her poem. We must be able to love, to hang on to what we love, to hang on as if our life depended on it, no less, and still let it go and move into what is new when the time comes. We're not talking about small stuff here. We're not dealing with letting go of things that don't matter. And we're not talking about convincing ourselves that they never mattered after all. No, we're talking about letting go of the important things in our lives. How do we do it? Well, first, we need to reframe our lives in this way. We often think of our lives as a matter of endless acquisition, of incorporating gain after gain after gain as we learn and acquire and make friends and take on responsibilities, sort of like a balloon being blown up. We start with a sturdy body and we blow. Knowledge, skills, abilities. Blow some more. Wisdom, independence, and schooling, and smarts, and possessions. Another puff, get an education, buy a house, start a family. The balloon of life just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a good thing it does not really work that way, because you know the fate of all balloons, and it is not pretty. Life is not a straight line of acquiring and growing and getting. It's a zigzag of lost and gained, acquiring and letting go, loving and grieving. 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, and often enough, 3 steps back and 2 steps forward. It can't be any other way. We'd pop. When we know this to our core and accept it as the way of life, we're in a position to be graceful about the things we have to let go of. The second thing to understand about letting go is what we are and are not actually in control of. We'd like to think that we could just decide to get unattached, to become serene about our losses, or to not be angry anymore. We often talk as if we can do these things, and people who give us advice often couch their advice about letting go as something that we can just decide to do. But you're smarter than that, because you've tried it and it doesn't work. We're talking about our feelings here, and we have influence over our feelings, but not control. We can require ourselves to act in certain ways, to keep going to the doctor, say, or to be kind to our mother who is suddenly a child, or to move out when he says he doesn't love us anymore. But we cannot, by sheer dint of willpower, let go of our sense of health, our grief for a mother to take care of us, or our love for him. Letting go of feelings is a process, and we can be willing to undertake that process, but we can't willfully force it on ourselves. You can't will yourself to let go. You can only be willing to let go, to be willing to take a step in that direction, and then another. When I retired from the Albuquerque church 5 years ago, I had a lot to let go of. Of course, I had some help. As you probably know, former ministers have to stay away from their former congregations until things have settled, a year or more. So I had to let go of my friends. I had to let go of being busy. I had to let go of the good feeling I got about myself when I was busy. I had to let go of being in charge of something bigger than my dog. All those kinds of things. I had a lot of warning that this retirement was coming, and I was ready. I was willing to let my congregation go in the new direction that they had chosen. And I had some steps ready for myself. I got involved with a couple of other organizations. I actually worked for the UUA for a while. I thought I had done a pretty darn good job of letting go. And then the year was over, and I was invited to return. And wouldn't you know it, I hadn't even parked the car before I spotted a new banner that I didn't think was hung properly. Oops. Not quite as let go as I had imagined. I reminded myself, Christine, you are not in charge here anymore. It was a great shock to be back, to see people, to notice things, to notice the way the church had changed and thrived. But I had several banner moments that morning, and I realized that I had a little more work to do. That was humbling, but letting go is a process. I think I'm about done with that process now, after 5 years. The first aspect of letting go of something, ironically, is to really come to terms with how much it meant to you. You have to realize how good it felt to be an important person in the working world, or a nursing mother, or a senior in high school. How much you really are going to miss smoking, or living at home, or red meat, or how much you love that woman, or that friend, or that child. You have to let yourself feel this, know it, celebrate it. It's ironic, isn't it? That in order to let something fade, you have to really cherish it and admit its importance to you. Otherwise, you're indulging in denial rather than letting go. It is this wisdom that gives us such social institutions as bachelor parties and funerals, opportunities to celebrate and cherish a reality that's fading away in order to help it fade away. Much of grief work is giving a person the opportunity to talk about their loved one so that they can really come to terms with how much they're letting go of. That's why parents make a little ritual of carefully putting baby clothes and toys in the attic. That's why what we're doing when we fill our journals with page after page of words expressing how much we loved our trip, our school, our job, whatever it is that we're leaving behind. That's why it's not necessarily helpful to tell a friend just to forget it when they are angry or grieving. Because if they haven't really expressed and come to terms with whatever it is they've lost, forgetting is not what they need to do. What they need to do is to remember. Of course, it's possible and common to get stuck in this journey of growth, which is why if some months have passed, 1 or 2 months for smaller letting go tasks and 6 to 12 for large ones like retirement or grieving a spouse, and no progress is being made in that process, then it's time to look for professional help in letting go and moving on. The second aspect of letting go is letting go of what you had in the past by getting involved with other aspects of our life. In essence, we need to replace the habit of being attached to whatever we were attached to with the habit of doing something new and different. Every stage of our life has its adventures, its opportunities for growth, its places of hope. At first, we turn our attention to this possibility with a scowl. But eventually, if we keep at it, and if we allow ourselves to grieve and value what it is we're letting go, eventually we will be able to embrace the future with a full heart. I call these two aspects of letting go the remembering or looking back stage and the looking forward stage. They're aspects of letting go rather than stages because they happen together. It's not the case that one grieves and worries and lives in the past until one day, boom, the sun comes out and one is ready to look in the future and never look back. No, it's more like a matter of changing proportion of your attention to these two aspects of letting go. First, you spend 90% of your time looking back and 10% looking forward. Later on, the percentages may be reversed. And in the middle, most people report that their mood and needs fluctuate widely, and that's okay. Eventually, the process of letting go results in our being able to lovingly place this aspect of our life which we are leaving into perspective, to be nostalgic rather than sad, and to be invested in possibilities for the future. The acute pain of the empty nest becomes, in time, an appreciation of the now completed tasks of parenting a child and a looking forward to knowing one's child as an adult. The worst anger of betrayal becomes, in time, a regretful understanding of the situation and a sadder but wiser looking forward to new relationships. The third aspect of letting go is the realization and appreciation that although we have let it go, we're still changed. Whatever has had us and now does not has left its hole, and that's now a part of who we are. Those holes and empty places create our character. They make space for the new and are, in short, a good thing. This is a theological appreciation. We believe in change. We UUs do not put our faith in a stagnant universe and an all-perfect, unchanging God. Our faith is in the processes of growth and evolution and change and learning. We think of ourselves as changing selves, of this as a changing world, and some of us believe in a God who is an evolving process. We remind ourselves to live lightly, to value the Swiss cheese self that results from our growth, and that to live in this world, we must be able to let it go when the time comes and to grow.
Let's just sit for a moment with that thought. Let it savor it. Now it's come the time to share our gifts. The operations and outreach of our church need your input and your contributions. In a moment, the greeters will distribute the offertory baskets, and please give generously. But before they do that, I should remind you that we support organizations identified by the Social Justice Committee with our Change for Change program. This quarter's recipient of our Change for Change donations is Lutheran Family Services, an official resettlement for refugees. Resettlement involves finding and furnishing housing, providing English language classes, conducting cultural orientation, providing job counseling, and assisting in legal paperwork. With more families arriving weekly, the need for funding is urgent. So please give generously. Please come forward. If you are looking for a spiritual home and are sympathetic with Unitarian Universalist values and principles, the Unitarian Church of Las Cruces may be the place for you. We believe that when you become a member, you are entering into a warm and deep relationship with the church and all of our members and friends. You are becoming part of something much bigger than any of us. You are becoming part of a movement to change our community and our world. There are several routes you can take to membership. You can speak with me or any one of the leaders in the church in person after the service. Call the church and leave a message about your interest, and someone will call you, or sign the virtual membership book through the link in the electronic order of service.